Second suspect is charged with capital murder for the death of a Northwest Arkansas police officer. Also, the search continues in Surfside, Florida, the sixth day of searching for survivors as the death toll sits at 11.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
This is KOAM News at Noon. I'm Zach Dodge. Highway 69 is closed following a two-vehicle crash. At around 8:30, the Crawford County Sheriff's Office reported on Facebook that Highway 69 between 710 and 720 Avenue near Arcadia was closed after a two-vehicle head-on collision that resulted in injuries. No word yet on those injuries. The highway was reopened at around 10:30. The Kansas Highway Patrol is taking lead on the investigation and will have more information as it becomes available. A Missouri Department of Transportation supervisor is dead after a driver hit him outside Kansas City on Monday. The department identified him as 61-year-old Lloyd Crawford. He worked for MoDOT for almost 18 years. The Highway Patrol says he was on foot working in this area when a pickup hit him. The governor is reminding drivers to slow down in work zones. Two suspects are charged with capital murder for the death of an Arkansas police officer. 22-year-old Shauna Cash and 18-year-old Elijah Andazola are both charged with capital murder for the death of Pea Ridge, Arkansas police officer Kevin Apple. At around 11:30 Saturday morning, Rogers PD alerted the Pea Ridge Police Department about a car they had been following. Around noon, Pea Ridge officers spotted the car at the White Oak gas station. When approached, police say the suspects rammed their car into a Pea Ridge police car. In doing so, the suspects ran over Officer Kevin Apple, then drove away. Apple died at the scene. Cash's bond request was denied. The Pea Ridge Police Department says funeral services will be held for Apple at Cross Church Pinnacle Hills in Rogers this Friday at noon. Southwest Missouri is seeing a spike in COVID-19 cases. Experts say current hospitalization numbers resemble what they saw during their first surge last fall. There's a difference this time, though, with more younger people needing hospitalization. This increase in numbers started in early June, and with the 4th of July coming up, health experts recommend smaller-sized gatherings.
If there is an opportunity for a smaller gathering, go to the smaller gathering. If they're going to be in a large gathering settings, still try and maintain that distance from others.
Stokes says due to Missouri being a hotspot for COVID-19, more precautions should be taken to keep the community safe. The Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services reports Missouri has seen more than 3,600 new cases in the last 7 days. Now we're going to go over to Michael Hayslip for our look at the weather before 4th of July.
Can't get out of our way, Zach, when it comes to the rain as it continues to come down. Now, it hasn't been as widespread as what we've seen past couple of days, but our western portion of southeast Kansas just continues to be dominated. This all started pre-sunrise. Not only that, but the cloud cover starting to creep into the central and western eastern portions of southwest Missouri, an indicator that our rain is going to be a little bit more widespread here by the time we finish off our Tuesday. Also of note, I wanted to point out our accumulation that we've had in the past 12 hours. This is just a 12-hour map. See that line right there from McDonald County into Joplin and then up to the north by Butler. A lot of that's left over from the thunderstorm activity we had overnight. I guess the one nice thing is we have been able to keep our rain in southeast Kansas, mainly so limited to just shower activity, not a whole lot of thunder and lightning. But we also know we're a far cry from over. We've got flash flood watches for those counties in that duller blue, and look at the expansion of the lime green. Those are flood warnings. That means it's imminent and it's already happening in those counties that are indicated in that lime green area. The last of them not expiring until Saturday. It is a little bit muggy out there. Our temperatures right now ranging into the 80s already, and you factor in that humidity, feeling about like 87, 88. But more importantly, here comes more rain for tonight as it begins to spread into the central and eastern portions of the 4 states, you'd go, okay, Wednesday, are we done? Are we done? No. We're going to lock and reload for Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, and the 7-day forecast showing us we're really not going to taper off until Friday. Zach, coming up here in just a little bit, we talked about how much we've seen in the last 12 hours, midnight to the noon hour. Wait until we go back to Friday. We're talking about numbers that are going to make a tropical depression look like a walk in the park.
All right, looking forward to it. Thanks, Michael. With flooding from these heavy rains comes flooded and closed roads. Those closed roads are marked with barricades. Local law enforcement wants to remind you, do not move or go around those barricades. Not only is it not safe, it could result in a citation. And once the storms pass and the sun emerges this weekend, many 4-staters will return to the water. But even after the rain is gone, it could affect local waterways. Following periods of heavy rain, river currents are often much stronger, which makes activities like floating less safe. The Newton County Sheriff says the best safety tip is to stay off the water until things calm down.
This weekend, obviously, we had a tremendous amount of rain, and the water was up quickly and fast in many locations. My advice is to wait a few days before you get on it, let it have time to go down.
If you do choose to go floating or rafting, wear a life jacket. You can also check river levels at local rivers on our website. Just search water levels at KOAMnewsnow.com. Topping Nation Watch today, the death toll stands at 11 in Surfside, Florida, where a 12-story condo building partially collapsed last week. About 150 people are still missing. Mark Strassman has the latest from Surfside.
For 6 days now in Surfside, rescue teams have poked in the rubble for survivors. Families linger in the purgatory of not knowing.
Families, because of the process we've gone through, are coming to their own conclusions. Some are feeling more hopeful, some less hopeful, because we do not have definitive answers.
Search teams work round the clock. New photos taken 2 days before the collapse show water on the floor, cracked concrete, and damaged rebar in the complex's pool equipment room. A contractor who gave the photos to the Miami Herald says he was struck by the lack of maintenance in the lower level. Unclear whether these issues contributed to the collapse.
This picture is my son Luis Andres, which you can see all pictures and you will see this smile.
The body of Luis Bermudez's son was found Saturday. Bermudez last saw him just before Father's Day.
He told me, Papi, don't worry, I'm not going to spend the day with you, but all the days are your days.
The 26-year-old spent his life battling muscular dystrophy. In the early morning on June 24th, Luio was with his mother, Ana Ortiz, when the Champlain South Tower collapsed. This beach vigil last night honored all the victims.
We're trying to do the best we can, set a good example to be strong.
No one has been found alive since last Thursday, but hope still breathes here. Mark Strassman, CBS News, Surfside, Florida.
There are now questions about the stability of the other buildings in the Surfside complex, but an engineering firm hired by the town has not found any evidence of major structural damage. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, wildfires, a straining electric grid, and dangerously high temps hit the Pacific Northwest. We'll have the latest on the impacts record high temps are having. And later, Mr. Food has a recipe that has more layers than you may be able to count. The Pacific Northwest is still suffering from dangerously high temperatures. Crews are battling wildfires across the region, and the heat is putting a strain on the power grid. Lilia Luciano is in Seattle, which reached its hottest day on record yesterday.
For the first time ever, Seattle reached triple-digit temperatures Monday for a third day in a row.
everything's sold out. Like today, we couldn't get any ice. Everything is completely gone.
For days, a dome of stifling heat has parked itself over the Pacific Northwest, causing some restaurants like this drive-in to temporarily close and roads to buckle. Tanker trucks in Seattle hose down drawbridges to try to keep the steel from expanding.
Here we go.
Larry Snyder calls himself a community helper, taking donations to give water to the homeless or anyone in need.
Water is the one thing that the people on the street are really short of right now.
In Portland, which reached a record-breaking 116 degrees on Monday, the extreme heat was enough to bring light rail and streetcar service to a halt. Transportation officials posted this picture, writing, "Here's what the heat is doing to our power cables." Some cities even had to close public pools. In Seattle, the hot pool deck made conditions unsafe.
Part of the reason I moved here was to come in the summer to have relief from Arizona heat. And I seem to have brought it with me, so I'm not real thrilled.
Temperatures are expected to come down this week, but they'll still be around 90 degrees, which is 20 degrees higher than the average. And because most residents of Seattle don't have AC, people are resorting to all kinds of ways to stay cool, including occupying almost every hotel room in the city. Lilia Luciano, CBS News, Seattle.
Portland, Oregon broke its all-time record Saturday, hitting 108 degrees, and then blew past that again on Monday afternoon, reaching 115 degrees. Still to come on KOAM News at Noon, Mr. Food.
1, 2, 3, 4 layers, and I'm only halfway there. Wait until you taste all 8 layers of this no-bake delight.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
Well, it hasn't been very widespread on our Tuesday. Our main threat from today all the way really to about Friday afternoon, if not Friday evening, is going to remain flooding. Live look outside of Television City. We've been kind of lucky here for the last several hours, but look at that band that stretches from Texas all the way to the Great Lakes. And as we take a closer look at exactly what we've got in the 4 states right now, southeast Kansas is where we've seen the majority of our rain. Those circular icons that you see indicating storm reports of anywhere from 2 to 3 inches, and that is just until midnight alone. As we transition to the sweeping radar, it really hasn't been anything torrential. More June showers for everywhere from Sedan to Independence, stretching up to Chanute. But I want to throw something into perspective as far as the rain that we've had dating back to the weekend. If we look at what was one time Tropical Storm Danny and is now the remnants of Danny, a low pressure system, and take into account the rain that it has soaked the southeastern portion of the United States with, you see anywhere there from about 4 to 6 inches right along the coast. You see those lines of yellow. That's going to indicate about 3 to 4 inches. That's what we have in the past 24 hours. We've picked up more rain than the southeastern portion of the United States in one day alone. Now, if we were to transition this back to, I don't know, let's say Friday, we're talking about anywhere from 8 to 9 inches. As a matter of fact, drop down here into the Miami area just south of I-44, and that's going to be about 15 inches. That may overshoot a little bit, but yeah, about 15 inches of rain there since Friday. Flash flood watchers, no surprise. They're not going to be able to actually budge. And even though they say they have a 7 o'clock expiration time, we've got more rain coming. Those are simply going to be extended on top of our flood warnings. That's indicated in lime green, running all the way into the weekend. You know, Zach was saying earlier, I know that you're going to be chomping at the bit to get out and enjoy a 4th of July holiday. That may involve plans on the water. Please, please, please. May want to delay those a week, let the water recede a little bit, as flash flood warnings and watches stretch all the way from the Mexican border right through the 4 states and up to the Great Lakes. Now, we haven't even had a chance really to talk about the heat, whether it be in the Northeast or the West Coast, as we've been just inundated with our rain, and that's our main concern. Our temperatures haven't posed a problem. 82 degrees right now in Joplin, feels about like 86. Let's roll 79 in Miami, 80 in Nevada, and 78 in Neodesha. And as far as our weather trend goes, we'll top out in the mid-80s. But our big threat, remember, additional rainfall is on its way. As it begins to gather this evening, we're not looking at anything severe, but it just keeps on coming through from Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, still dominating the western portion of the 4 states until it begins to spread east. Now, No severe thunderstorm risk concerns for the 4 states. It's simply being safe out there and knowing the flooding is going to last all the way into the 4th of July weekend. Zach?
Thank you, Michael. We take this time to honor today's 4-state hero, Willie Jones, a major in the United States Army. He served in Korea from 1953 to 1954 and in Vietnam from 1967 to 1968 in the 173rd. There he heard the 2 oak leaves and the Presidential Unit Citation. A native of Independence, Kansas, we salute you, Willie Jones, our 4-state hero. A sweet treat with layers that just don't seem to stop. That's what Howard has today in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
As we're about to enter the dog days of summer, it's time to start thinking about ways to keep our cool, no matter how hot it gets outside. One sure way to do that is with a cool and refreshing no-bake dessert. For the lightest can be filling, we combine a container of whipped topping with a couple of boxes of pistachio pudding that we made according to the package instructions. We add a handful of chopped pistachios, and after this is mixed, we set it aside. Then we line a baking dish with graham crackers and top them with about 1/3 of our pistachio mixture. We'll repeat layering this 2 more times until all the graham crackers and the filling is used up. Now we frost the top of this with whipped topping and garnish it with a few chopped pistachio nuts before putting it into the fridge to set up. Look at this, a cool and refreshing dessert that we made without turning on our oven or breaking a sweat. And when you dig your fork through layer after layer, you'll be smiling from ear to ear. To get the recipe for our 8-layer pistachio squares, all you have to do is visit our website. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a no-bake, no-stress way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Now here's a look at 4-state market prices.
And I'll get to that. Right after Dow tells us about an upcoming story here at 5 with some breaking news.
Yeah, this is a live picture from Edna, Kansas, where a mattress factory is on fire, a mattress store. They've been there for a number of hours. We're getting very little information at this point, but we'll certainly have a lot more tonight at 5, Slip.
Now, Mother Nature not going to cut us any slack. Rain's going to continue all the way into the 4th of July weekend. As Zach's been saying, please try to stay off those waterways. I know you may have weekend plans. It's not worth it right now.
Definitely.
All right, here's what else is coming up at 5. Think about how many lights are in your home or at a grocery store or in your office. Light bulbs may now be an untapped resource for a brighter and cleaner future. From nanoparticles to robots, new innovative tech has been saving lives through this pandemic. Plus, tattoos have become more popular in recent years, and so the popularity of having them removed has also. Research predicts the global tattoo removal market will grow to $4.8 billion in 2023, and a groundbreaking for a new Unsung Heroes Park in Fort Scott. Hope you'll join us at 5.
And thank you very much for joining us for the KOAM News at Noon. We'll see you right back here at 5.